Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming to another video. Alright, so I'm acting like it's 3 in the afternoon. It's actually 3 a.m. So I hope people forgive me. But it's trade deadline day and I've already slept, so I'm good. Here's something that I wanted to throw in as an opinion. When it comes to picks that are being swapped on a day, and when I say picks being swapped, that means traded, not necessarily pick swaps and stuff like that. So I'm not speaking about the specifics of picks when I say this. But nevertheless, I don't think there should be any shortage of picks being traded around tomorrow. No shortage. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but I do think that there's a good chance because the Utah Jazz has already said that how many picks that they have in their war chest. They said something around 15 or 16, I believe it was. No, it was the Spurs, forgive me. It was the Spurs who also now have, both of them. It was a good portion of stuff that I read today, but it is understood that both the Spurs and the Jazz have over 15 picks, somewhere at 15 picks or something like that, which means they're out there to move. Some of these picks are not going to be drafted for another 4 years, and the way this market is shaping up, some of these teams' picks are going to exchange hands probably 4 times before then. So in my mind, I'm thinking Kevin Durant going to the Suns for 4 picks, 128 swap, 1 single 2028 first round draft swap, to be exact. To me, that just looks like a situation where I'm asking for more picks. Now that I know what the field has, you got teams running around with 15 picks, and you're trying to tell me I can only get 4? Nah. Now, when I thought it was just a situation where teams had like 7 picks, or the Lakers like had 2 picks, that would make me consider the 4 picks that it took to get KD back, or get him to Phoenix, a premium. Like, whoa, you're giving up so much future equity. But when I realized that some of the other packages that I could have received for Kevin Durant could have potentially had 6 picks, 7 picks, 8 picks, just simply off of the understanding that these teams could afford to give those up, I look at what they got back in return from the Phoenix Suns, and I say, you could have got a bigger return. You could have gotten a bigger return if you would have waited till the offseason to trade him. Now, I know he probably had a trade demand in place, and that means a lot. Maybe this was the best deal you could have gotten at the trade deadline, but I just know they could have got more picks for him, man. I know it. And I'm looking at people waking up to the news, and they're saying, oh my God, the Suns gave up so much. Yes, they did. For what it is they had, they gave up a lot. They gave up everything. They didn't have no more picks, I don't think. I didn't even know they had those. But that's not what I'm weighing that against. I'm weighing that against what I could have gotten anywhere else. What I could have gotten from Utah, potentially. What I could have gotten from New York, potentially. What I could have gotten from San Antonio, potentially. It doesn't matter if any of that stuff was actually on the table. What I could have gotten potentially from OKC. You see how much leverage that is in regards to me getting back additional pick equity in a trade for Kevin Durant at 4 years, $44 million? In an overnight deal where you got tick tock left to do this? Boy, I'd have been like, look, you're going to do this for 7 picks, or you ain't getting it done at all. And they would have went back with sweaty palms, and they would have been grinding their teeth, and they probably would have came back and said 5. And I'd have probably been like, nah, you're running out of time. And they'd have bluffed, they would have did all they had to do, and then I'd have came back and said, listen. And then I would have had them add on maybe a couple second rounders to that 5, and we would have shut that deal down. But you do not settle for no 4 in a swap when you got so much time left on the clock. There's more pressure to apply. In my mind, if you're the Brooklyn Nets, Because if there's any indication, I mean any indication that I'm frustrated about that return, especially when I look at Kane, Jay Crowder. And see, this is the thing. This is where they got over. I've also woke up to the understanding that there was, a general consensus that Jay Crowder is a really legitimately good piece to have as a role player. At $10 million expiring, Jay Crowder is an overinflated piece that's not going to do nothing for you. You got to understand, he ain't played all season long, and he's an older guy. What kind of shape is he in? And how soon is he going to get in the shape you need him to be, the player you want him to be? Weigh that against how soon it is you think he's going to get injured. And it's like, okay, what role are you putting him in? You're the Brooklyn Nets. How many forwards did you just pick up? I mean, this type of stuff, are we taking that into account? Listen, $10 million expiring at the end of this season is not substantial enough to be a throw into this situation when I know that piece ain't going to help me for what it is that I'm saying I want to do, which is win now at the end of the season. Even though I just helped the West put together yet another potential super team. And people saying all these picks are so good, but it's like it's only 4 of them. It's 4. And we know how wildly inconsistent draft picks can be in their value. You might be picking up a Donovan Mitchell. You might be picking up a, Anthony Bennett. You don't know who these guys are. So even if they're high, quote, value picks, when I consider what the Lakers did with second round picks and what some of these busts have looked like in the first round, that don't move me that much when it's only 4 of them, and I know I can get 8 and 9 and 10 from other teams, potentially. Especially when I'm taking back assets that may not even negotiate with me. Cam Johnson's coming off the books. Cam Johnson goes off the books. Crowder goes off the books as I try to figure out these numbers in my head. You got the 4 picks. One is a swap. I'm sure that stuff is all very valuable. Everybody's clamoring over it like it's the most valuable stuff in the world. Okay, I'll buy it. And Mikal Bridges on the 4-year deal, who is very desirable, but I could say is basically an all-star, and hasn't reached that level yet, but he'll get there. One of those kind of guys. And I let go of Kevin Durant. Now, one thing I will agree with the field is, that I didn't say in the last video, is Kevin Durant is about 35 years of age, has had some serious injuries, and when you let all that stuff go out for Kevin Durant, and he's already injured when you bring him in, potentially he could just be a hurt body. And if that is the case, then all that stuff you gave up was ridiculous. That's not what I was considering as I'm putting that in my head, because I'm weighing that against revenue for a new owner. Kevin Durant ain't LeBron James, but he is Kevin Durant. So if I'm going to say let's just say LeBron James give me 100, Kevin Durant will give me 70 for whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just weighed example. It's huge for what it is that I'm trying to do. It's huge. So that's potentially one way I'm looking at it. And plus, you can slot him into any situation as far as his piece. There's nothing that I have to adjust to when I bring him in. Do I have size? Yes. Do I have shooting? Always. Do I have legitimate everything defensively? Yes, he can contribute greatly if he's healthy. Is he the same defender he used to be? Absolutely not. But can he help the Phoenix Suns put together something very special at his price tag for 4 years? Yes. Yes. But those who are saying he's not going to make it through the contract, I see scenarios where that's the case. He's an older guy. This could be another Chris Paul contract for them. But with his size and his skill set, you'll be able to move him. That's not going to be a problem. Even if he wears all the way down and people are like, they'll still pay whatever that is going to be, like 60 at the end of it probably, because you know how those things bump up. They'll pay it. It's Kevin Durant. Same reason I just said, the revenue. So trading that for something ain't going to be nothing bad at all. At the very worst, you'll pay for the lesser of it, but you would have eaten into the contract yourself as to which you make that 70, if you're following me. So you don't care if you're the new ownership. Even if you don't win a championship, you're still eating off of that. And Devin Booker superstardom, you're going to be on every ESPN, ABC for the next 4 years. You're gonna eat good. you're gonna recoup whatever you just paid for that team, potentially, which is all you really want to do. So I got superstardom of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and DeAndre Ayton. Here we are pushing forward, but I would tell him, it's almost like you're making the same mistake a lot of new owners do when you mortgage your future in the immediate future. I mean, this is what Brooklyn did. Essentially, Brooklyn just ran a U on you. They're like, yo, here comes a new owner, did some dumb stuff. We know how that goes because that's us. Let's get him. So I think that's how a lot of people are looking at it. But it's Kevin Durant, man. It's Kevin Durant. Like, some could say, okay, you would say the same thing about Paul Pierce and KG and all that other stuff they gave got back as well. You may say that back then. And I would tell them, with all due respect, I would not. Because those guys were much older. Those guys were not as effective at that point as Kevin Durant is, and those guys, by way of their skill sets, would not have slotted in as seamlessly as Kevin Durant does, and it's more of them. More older guys making their team more old together, shifting from one place to the next. It's only Kevin Durant going into a situation where they can actually surround him with younger pieces, as to which 2 out of the 4 pieces are young already. So you can see a path to keeping him healthier and a path to keeping better stuff around him than the Brooklyn Nets ever had intentions of doing with all that Celtic stuff. Most of that Celtic stuff was understood to be not retradable at that time. So that's really what it comes down to. I think for me, looking at this whole situation with this new situation for Phoenix, I just know that this is not about this season. Even though a lot of people expect them to come in and kill the West right now, that's not what this is about. Those guys are on multiple year deals. This is more about next season. And the most important thing for them to do is try to get Chris Paul up out of there, so his contract doesn't eat away at them. That's what they gotta do, man. They gotta do that. And I pushed the emphasis on that in the other video, and I still feel that way. But the more I think about it, this is more like a Ben Simmons situation where they're probably not gonna be able to move that, but they can move the other stuff. So Ayton might be on his way out. Since he wasn't happy when he signed that contract, everybody knew it. It probably shouldn't have been signed at that price. I think we might be seeing a situation where they might shop that thing back somewhere like Indiana again, since that's where he was supposed to be signing the offer sheet with. I could totally see a situation where Indiana maybe just offer up what they were willing to, maybe a few things. I don't know. I'm trying to brainstorm. They got some things they can move, though, to Phoenix, like Turner, for Ayton, tomorrow. But they said they wanted to renegotiate with Turner and move forward with him. But at the price tag he's at, if I had a chance to get Ayton instead, that probably makes more sense. And if I'm Phoenix, if I can just get him to a price that's less than Ayton, that might be the move. That might be the move. But then again, you're making yourself older. And I'm just brainstorming, so there are probably a million other ways to move Ayton instead as well. Better ones, I'm sure. So there's a lot of things to think about if you're Phoenix, but like, that's the thing. You don't want to just sit here and say, yeah, we got it, just because the general consensus is, yeah, you got it. You ain't got it. Until you get those role players, you don't got it. And that's what if you're really trying to win, it's the same thing I said with my Lakers. If you're really trying to win, you don't bring your stuff up, a bunch of stuff that looks like it can win, but then don't have the foundational stuff that actually makes it a winner. You don't do that to yourself. It's the stuff that Brooklyn was doing. It's the stuff that Lakers did. It doesn't work. You see that failure, don't try that move. You try a different way. You put yourself in a position to have that foundation. And they have a chance to get it if they just trade the right stuff. Ayton, you can sacrifice him. You can. You can trade him. You don't need him. You don't want to be there. So you can trade him, get some stuff for him, even if it's a little less than what he's worth. You don't want to do that. I think that's the wrong way of approaching it. But what I'm saying is, you should probably consider moving him. Definitely not for less than he's worth. But what I'm saying is, to get a trade done to fix your situation in time, it might be worth it to do that based on the need for flexibility soon. Because you are running out of time. But you're running out of even more time if you keep Chris Paul on your timeline. You feel me? You want to buy yourself some time, so you got to get younger. around Kevin Durant, and he's in the way in that. See, I'm a schemer, man, and I believe in winning for real. I don't believe in just bringing myself revenue stuff, because the way I see it is, if I win, I can make even more revenue. So it's like, nah, I'm always looking to win. In Phoenix, you got a chance to win for real, but you can't do it like Brooklyn and be fake about it, and just act, kind of have little stuff and surround them with not so great pieces. You got to surround them with the right pieces. It may take more than this year to do it, though. That's why I'm telling everybody is temper your expectations. But the ability to bring a Kevin Durant to you shows that you're ambitious, and you're not done. So I think they're not done. I really do. I think they got more to do, and I think they're going to get it done if they just continue to empower their GM in the way that they have, because this was very ambitious. I will listen to people who say this is a better return for Brooklyn than I said it was, based on Kevin Durant's age and what he may be expected to do in that 4 years for a lot of people based on the history of the injuries. But at the end of the day, when I know teams got like 15 and 16 picks, and I only bring back 4 of them that I know is only going to represent 4 bodies if drafted, I just feel like I can get more picks. I'm certain of it for a player like Kevin Durant, even if he's only worth what it is that I brought back. And a guy like Rudy Gobert goes for what? How many picks? Donovan Mitchell went for how many picks? Potentially to New York. And even what they settled for was a lot of picks. So that's where I'm at with that. I do think that Bridges is a very valuable piece at 4-year deal of $20 million a year. You like that piece, so maybe you inflate that sum to say, okay, that's the rest of the picks. But don't tell me Jay Crowder's a first-round pick. Don't run that on me. Please don't run it on me with a 10-year expiring for Jay Crowder. And the opinion that I saw on IG was that Jay Crowder is like the best role player in the game. And I was like, bro, this is how players stay in the league too long. The thing had like 165 likes. I'm like, bro, this is why the league sucks, because you got this as a general consensus, and then you're able to make trades like this where you can throw a guy like this in instead of a first-round pick equity. It's like that boy ain't got no value in this league if you're doing it right. But if you can keep a guy's value inflated, that's your leverage. He ain't got to be that good. He just got to have everybody think he that good. So it does pay to have a name like that if you knows what you're doing, and you can flip him for a first-round pick, which is the devil in the room, basically. But Jay Crowder is the best role player in the entire game, according to a bunch of folks. And then they were in this comment section calling people casuals for disagreeing too. I'm like, okay. But the production and how many games he's actually going to play for you is going to tell you otherwise. Usually has big roles on big teams in the playoffs. That's because he played well during his prime as a role player in those situations. He was a big part of why those teams were where they were. But what year was that? Back then, you could say he was one of the best role players in the league. One of. Never the best on my book. But when he was with the Boston Celtics and the Cavaliers and some of those other Suns teams, that dude was a problem. But this is 2023. You can't have the same price tag on the dude now that you would have had back then. Or even higher. That's not his actual value. That's not what he's actually going to do on the floor. So yeah, with that particular aspect of the trade, I do not think he should have been in that, and I don't think that should have not have reflected in the picks. I should have seen more there in pick equity, in my humble opinion, based on the fact that he was even in the trade. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'd have made them pay for me to take him. So if that's not represented in the pick value or the player value, which it's not, because Cam Johnson is expiring. People need to understand that. If he were on a multi-year deal at like something very comfortable for the Nets, where they don't have to negotiate with him, which I think they're at a disadvantage for if they have to anyway, based on some certain things that are going on there. You don't want to have to negotiate with nobody if you're the Nets. You want them all on contracts, multiple years, at your leisure, while you repair your image with this Kyrie Irving thing. You don't want to negotiate with nobody. Least of all, one of the most important players in your trade for Kevin Durant. So I'm taking all this into account when I look at them little 4 picks. I'm like, are y'all sure for Kevin Durant? Even if that's Kevin Durant's real value, his Jay Crowder name value is way more than this. If Jay Crowder can get in this trade, Kevin Durant, by way of name, should have got you double this trade. That's essentially what I'm saying to you. People run around saying Jay Crowder's the best player in the game. Kevin Durant's the best player of all time. You feel me? If that's what we're doing with leverage. So we're not doing that. I'm sorry. You can't sell me on the fact that this is a great trade. Now, I can turn them 4 picks into a million things. Just like I told you in regards to the Nets' return. Yeah, they may have got a lesser return, but they can still make it a more return if they flip all that for more stuff. But even if they would have got a proper return, so to speak, they still could have turned that even the more just the same. You feel me? Even into more than that. So it's like, it still equates to you not getting enough back. So those 4 picks can turn into a monstrous thing. They can make that turn into the greatest player of all time if he happens to be the pick they draft. But that's not what that was worth today, and that's the point. That's the exact point I'm making. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I've been right about things like this. I've been wrong about things like this. And it all just comes down to what you expect Kevin Durant is going to do and how you evaluate Kevin Durant from this point. And so that needs to be given more thought. But just at the name value, man, I could have got more for Kevin Durant, bro. Especially with more time on the clock of the trade deadline, I could have got more for Kevin Durant. Especially the year Rudy Gobert gets traded for God knows what. I guess the market is trying to be careful not to do too much, and that's another thing. But this, I could argue, might have actually been that anyway, given what it is I'm saying. So I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not upset at anybody. As a fan of the Lakers, I look back at the Suns, and they're a legitimate threat if their core can overcome their bench woes, or if they can have some super buyout market, or maybe, like I said, trade Ayton for a bunch of pieces. But if they don't do anything else, and they just think they're going to add like a DJ Augustine and a Markieff Morris to this team or something like that, and make it a real champion, that's not real. That's not real. That is not real. The core is real. They could do that, but once they start subbing players in, or they roll an ankle or something like that, they're out of here. They don't have the depth at all, just like the Nets. That takes time to build, man. So that's just what it is. They don't have enough in real life. Once they go up against real forwards and bodies jumping around, young players, they're going to be leaning on older guys to try to get them to the playoffs, and that's risky when you consider what they got going on, how they're building. Who's guarding the perimeter? Where's that coming from? I don't know. So these kind of things, you just have to answer those questions over the next several weeks if they want to be a real contender. But the type of talent they're putting on the floor, it's going to be special to see some of these matchups that they're going to be a part of. Love to see when they play the Dallas Mavericks. That's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. You talk about Devin Booker and Luka Doncic and what's already there, and then you're bringing in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on both sides. That is absolutely amazing. So, yeah, I think the storylines are what everybody's really looking for. That's, like I always say, it's about the numbers, about the money, and that's what this is about. The storylines just don't end. They do not end. And Dallas and Phoenix have history as a rivalry that predates everybody on these rosters, including a bunch of Steve Nash history that they both share. So this ain't no joke. This is no joke. They're gearing us up for Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns for sure. Just know that. So that's just what I see in my head as this is forming. Yeah, the Steve Nash parody nonsense. I mean, the storylines are just absolutely endless, yo. When I start thinking about the name Steve Nash, it's endless. It's absolutely endless. So yeah, man, this is gonna be fun. The Western Conference has gotten significantly more fun, man. The Lakers got better, the Suns got better, the Dallas Mavericks got better, um, and there will be more. There will be more. How is Denver gonna react to this? How is Memphis gonna react to this? How is New Orleans gonna react to this? Will Utah actually trade everything? And if so, how does that affect the NBA? Is there any other stars that could be on the move to join this situation, maybe? Is it possible that Ayton gets moved for another superstar of that caliber, age, that we don't even see coming? Zach LaVine or some crazy stuff that Phoenix is trying to do ambitiously? I don't know. I don't know. But the opportunity for other team players to get moved is there. You know, and I said I thought that there would be a big superstar move. Kevin Durant was likely. But I think there's even some more, even less likely moves that could be potentially happening. Like, we had some inclination that KD wanted to be moved, but there's some other names that I think people don't even see coming that could potentially be on the move for real. Like Karl Anthony Towns, Trae Young. I think it's a chance both of them dudes could be moved, even though no one's talking about it. I think that's a good chance both of them dudes could move. I know Carl's hurt, but if I'm the Timberwolves, I want to get out from under my cap situation, man. And they already made some moves that look a little funny, and getting D'Angelo Russell out of there and bringing in Conley for 2 years of 22. I just think that there's a chance they're trying to reimagine what they're doing. There's just a chance they're trying to reimagine what they're doing. And they can afford to turn Carl into a bunch of stuff and to secure Anthony Edwards a bit better. So I would never imagine they moving Anthony Edwards, so in that, but you know, that's a piece that I'm looking at. The Golden State Warriors may want to try to do something. They got a weird timeline. Steph Curry just got hurt. It's weird right now. Klay's playing good. I don't think you would, you know, now that Kevin Durant's been moved, their whole situation is shifted. So you got to understand, or imagine rather, that they would be pivoting at this point. The Clippers are a team you definitely expect to do something. They got to react to this. They must react to this. Sacramento, I don't know that they have too much to move, but I look at a guy like, look at their center position. And I say they got a bunch of assets that they can turn into a better piece if they want to. You know, it's just so many teams that could do something. So many teams that could do something. And superstars that could secretly ask for trades that you would never know about for the obvious reasons that we've talked about. So, man, this trade deadline is forming exactly the way I thought it would. It's forming exactly the way I thought it would. It ain't even the crack of dawn yet, and we already got plenty to talk about. So, yeah, let me try to get some rest again, and then try to see if I can stay fresh for tomorrow, because there's going to be a lot to say about this trade deadline that will be taking place 3 Eastern, 12 Pacific. So, yeah, stay tuned, you guys. BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.